Hi there, welcome back. I don't know if I'm going to share this video because it's a little bit awkward, and I don't know why this is what I'm supposed to share today. But here goes. You have heard me quote or mention Kyle Cease quite frequently on this in this process. And there are a few others that I think I've mentioned, maybe Matt Kahn and Byron Katie. And I don't know why, but this is what's up for me today. What's up for me today is to tell you why, I guess. I don't usually quote other teachers that much because I generally have found that there aren't that many that I'm still learning from, I guess is how I could say that. I mean, there was a time when I learned from a lot of teachers, and then I think pretty much coinciding with my time at the ashram, I found my own connection to the teacher within myself. And also I had, leveled up so much while I was there that most of the things people were teaching were no longer information to me, let alone transformation. And it got kind of lonely, I think. Like, I don't know, it was difficult. I didn't feel like I had anyone leading the way anymore, and I really needed that. Or, that's not true. I really desired that. Like, emotionally, I felt a need. And Eckhart Tolle was one that was pretty still leading the way for me, but I never really clicked with his style particularly. And so now I just recently discovered Kyle Cease, which is why it's so up for me, because I'm watching a lot of his stuff. I'm going through all of his courses, and I just love him. Like, not only his teachings, oh, my hair is interesting. Not only his teachings, but the way he presents, and also just the authenticity of the man. You can tell. I mean, I can feel how authentic and real he is, and that to me is the most important thing. I have a very low tolerance for people or situations that are not aligned with reality or truth. It's like sandpaper on my skin. I have a very difficult time with that. And also, I love that he makes me laugh. I think a real spiritual teacher makes you laugh. And I mean, that's one of the signs for me of someone who is spiritually advanced, is that they have a lightness of heart and a great sense of humor. Because, the ego takes itself very seriously. And the less ego we have, the less seriously we need to take ourselves, let alone life. And so I've been really enjoying watching him because he's funny and he's profound. And he's helping me take things to deeper levels in myself that have been challenging for me, as Matt Kahn does. Matt Kahn is, I have just recently, like, in fact, yesterday, really clicked with Matt Kahn. I've heard of him before. I've watched some of his stuff before, but it never really clicked. And yesterday, I was watching him in a Kyle Cease broadcast, actually, and really connected. And he's talking about, he's talking about the path that I'm on right now, mostly, which is like my biggest practice right now is developing love. And he was talking about that. And I really connected because he's farther along, or further, I guess you would say, along that path of love than I am, like a lot further, I think. So he had things to tell me, and he is also someone who's very present and very heartfelt and very real. So I love finding people that I can follow. And, I've often felt like Richard Bach said, who's one of my favorite authors, said in one of his books, that we take in information like a whale takes in krill. We just like swoop through the ocean of a book or a course or whatever and gather whatever little tidbits of life and insight call to us. And then whatever doesn't call to us, we just like let that wash out with the excess overflow of water. And I've felt like that for a long time, going through life, reading this person and that person, and picking out the little parts that resonate as truth for me, and letting go of the rest. And it's so wonderful to find someone that seems like they're speaking my heart. They're speaking my experiences and my truth with a greater degree of awareness in some cases, or integration, really, I think is what I mean. Like they're living levels of knowledge that I am still trying to integrate into myself, or at least they seem like they are. But now that I say that, I know that we teach what we are learning and what we're still integrating. And Kyle Cease actually says that quite frequently, that he's up there learning through this process, and he's listening to himself tell us whatever he is needing to hear. So maybe he's not integrating it, or hasn't integrated it in the way I imagine. What is my point? I wish I knew. Honestly, this is just what's up for me today, and I was lying here meditating and casting about for what was coming through and what needed to be said today, and all I could find was this. I couldn't get past this. This was here, and there was nothing else that was going to come past it or through it. So it was what needed to be said. I don't know why. Maybe because, for all I know, you're in a similar position. Maybe you're so far along a spiritual path that it's getting harder to find people in front of you to lead. And I think that's very likely to be true, in fact, because if you're following what I'm talking about, these are not beginner things. Beginners are going to have a lot of issues with the things that I say, because at the early levels of the process, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't apply properly to the early levels. This applies to the more advanced levels of, awakening. So maybe you're there too, and maybe you're noticing that it's getting harder and harder to find books with tasty krill in them, or teachers that are still inspiring transformation in you. So I guess I would like to share that's common on the path, and it does feel kind of lonely. And that there still are people out there, and it feels lonely, I think, also because of that one shaman per village issue, where we're, the light workers are scattered around the globe and far and wide, so that we don't have each other to call on and connect with in a way that as a social species we really desire and in a way need to do. But there are ways we can connect, and sometimes it just helps to know that there are others out there doing the same and feeling the same. So maybe that's why I'm sharing this today. Maybe that's why she's telling me that this is what needs to come through today. Or maybe you just needed a really, interesting hair day to look at and, I don't know, if maybe judge or think, thank goodness my hair doesn't do that. I have no idea. But, yeah. So I just want to, encourage you to take in the bits of wisdom and insight and transformation wherever you can. Even if a person, everybody has bits of the truth. It's like a religion, like all religions have some aspect of truth to them. And even people, like I can still read people who are sort of doing the basic levels of spiritual awareness teaching, and there are still ways that they will phrase something that really jumps out at me or that I love, or certain insights that just clarify something that I hadn't quite clarified before, and I really love that. And it's still useful, it's still valuable. I don't want to spend a lot of my time doing that because there's too much waste of time weeding through all the chaff for the little grains of truth, or truth that's beneficial to me. But it's still good to do that. It's still I think it's a beneficial way to approach life, is that teachings are everywhere and everyone has something to teach us. And I mean, that helps our humility as well. And, it helps avoid that spiritual egoism thing. Matt Kahn said that phrase yesterday, and that's one of the reasons I think I decided I love him, because I've never come up with such a wonderful phrase for that thing that happens where we get so attached to being sort of a spiritual person or something that becomes an identity of ourselves, and we, instead of continuing to grow past that, we just start behaving like a spiritual person instead of actually being spiritual. And we want people to perceive how spiritual we are. And, these humility practices can be helpful with that tendency, that little kind of trap on the spiritual path. Anyway, for what it's worth, there it is. I'm still not sure if I'll share this or if it's just going to come off sounding, I don't know, egotistical or something. I guess we'll see what, I'll beta test it with some friends or assistants and stuff and see what the verdict is. At any rate, that's what we'll do for today. That's what's the practice in there. See if you can't find teachings in every moment, in every event, in every person, no matter who that you come across. Everybody has something to teach us. Let's see if we can't find those pearls and harvest them wherever they may be. That sounds like a nice path or a nice practice for today. So with that, I will bid you adieu, and we will chat again tomorrow, I hope to see you then. I'll be here at any rate. So have a lovely, lovely day. Blessed be.